Right, so today we're going to be looking at Mike Mignola, starting with this classical image of Superman, which I have faithfully recreated. And we're going to be with the torso, it's always the easiest bit to begin with. The torso in the original picture, it's a little bit too triangular and bent forwards. The sort of famous Mike Mignola style, you would have a much more front-on view of Superman, much more kind of blocky torso. Definitely face on, at least in a sort of pin-up pose like this. So now we're working the arms, we're making the muscles a little bit more angular, a little bit more pointy. Very, very big, but square pecs. A little bit of detail there. In this more modern style, the kind of abs that Mignola goes for are basically just triangles. His style's changed over the years, but that's basically what he does now. Feel free to experiment. Just redrawing the head there and the shoulders. A lot of Mignola characters have very, very slumped shoulders, but I think even when he draws Superman, he'll still draw him with very square shoulders. Going from a little bit more modern Superman symbol, but definitely much smaller than you'd find with other artists. Because I don't think Mike Mignola would be trying to amplify the power of Superman here. Again, making the muscles a little bit more angular. Still, you'll notice that a bit like the original picture, and unlike with someone like Alex Ross from my other video, Superman is very lean, because Mignola characters tend to be quite lean, unless he's doing someone like the Hulk, or someone along that nature. The characters are generally going to be very top-heavy, very lean, very defined muscles. Definitely not like Alex Ross. Feet always tend to be quite small. Very pointy, very, very thin knees as well. The shading of the muscles with Mike Mignola characters, they're very defined. Again, unlike Alex Ross, where it's just basically very smooth, with Mike Mignola, you define the small little muscles you'd find maybe in a bodybuilder. And the way you go about it is a bit like with Jack Kirby, actually. And when I was drawing this, I noticed quite a bit of a Jack Kirby influence in Mike Mignola's work. Don't know if that's intentional, just maybe subconsciously he does that over the years. Going up the muscles again. Again, when you get those pointy, sharp-edged muscles, Mike Mignola's drawings don't tend to be smooth and round. They tend to be blocky, triangular, that kind of thing. Big hands normally, I find. Or definitely sort of disproportionate hands. Don't put small hands. Defining the pecs a little bit more there. I didn't like how the head turned out, so I'm just going to make it a little bit more of a defined neck, I think. I quite enjoyed drawing this. Mike Mignola's got a very distinctive style. It maybe in recent times has gotten a little bit too distinctive, and I think some people prefer his earlier work, which was less Mignola-esque. A lot of his modern stuff is very, very similar. He always puts a lot of skulls everywhere. He makes very kind of cold characters, but I kind of like it. I give him Superman here a very kind of big cartoonish hair, because I think Mike Mignola would maybe exaggerate that kind of thing. He doesn't really do it in the drawings of Superman that I've seen by him, but I feel like it's fitting. I think it works. It's not too important. Cape from the original drawing is definitely way too round and joyful. I think Mignola would go for something a little bit more square, a little bit more sharp, definitely, like the rest of it. So here I'm just working out what kind of overall shape I'm going to give it. I move my pencil in very quick motions. That was my dog, sorry. I had a little fold there to add a little bit of interest to the cape. And then a big fold over at the edge. Shadows in the cape are going to be quite hard. I hate shading in capes, or adding shadow to capes. It's really one of those things, one of my pet peeves. I hate it. But with Mignola, shadows tend to be quite simple. I'll add the shadows later, here I'm just adding a few lines. Shadows tend to be quite simple. Here we're going to add a little bit of shading to the face. I decided to add a little circle, like Superman's laser eye, because I think that would be a little bit more interesting than just a shadowy eye. But I think it would work just as well with a shaded in eye. I just wanted to maybe make Superman look a little more threatening, a little bit darker. It is Mignola after all. And Mignola does like using circles to define pupils and eyes. It's a very Mignola thing to do. I don't like how the shading turned out on the face here, and I will be changing it later. But now I'm going to be shading in basically the whole character. So again, very, very nice, simple shadows for the muscles. Very clear cut. No gradual shading. It is overall quite simple. There's a little bit more subtlety with it that I haven't been able to achieve. Obviously, I can't fully mimic Mike Mignola, maybe in a few years. But it's on the whole, it is somewhat simple. It's just knowing where to put the shadows, basically, rather than how to draw them. Yeah, shading in those things. He likes to redefine those ab muscles. I personally don't like drawing abs. I don't really like drawing abs, full stop. But they can look good. And here I'm going to make it, because it's Mignola, I'm going to make a little bit more of a larger shadow on the side of his torso here. I think that'd be a very Mignola thing to do. I just skipped over the full shading in because I didn't want to bore anyone, but yeah, you see how I've shaded it in. Now I'm adding for the legs. Very, very well defined leg muscles. We're going to shade in the whole foot. Much simpler. And basically the whole foot here as well. The boots, I've given a very cartoonish shape. A little bit sharper than the original Superman boots. I'm adding here little kind of marks all across the body, because Mignola, he tends to make his characters look like they're made out of stone, and he makes them a little bit more battle damaged, a little bit weathered. So I've given him those kind of marks all across his body, and I think it does give a very Mignola look to it. Here we're just shading in the logo. You definitely want to have that just facing, make it look like a sticker that's been stuck on the drawing almost. Here I'm adding shadows to the cape. Again, just like with the body, very simple shadows, very sharp-edged, very geometrical. I want to mimic the folds of the fabric, but don't make it look too real. Again, applying shadows, I don't do it particularly well. It is one of those things that you will just pick up with time. I decided to concentrate a lot of the shadow around the fold here, again, to add a little bit more interest. And definitely to accentuate the fact that there is a fold in the fabric. I'm not shading in fully here, because I don't have a bore. So I think I'm going to cut to fully shaded in a second. Again, just adding a little bit more lines. Yeah, there we go. Everything's nice when you have very defined colours. I'm changing the shading in the face a bit there, because I didn't like it. Adding a little bit of shadow to the neck to make it look more muscular, more interesting. Adding a sort of defined Adam's apple there, making the shoulder parts of the cape a little bit more theatrical. That's my dog again, she wants a bit of attention. Adding a few wrinkles to the trunks, because I wouldn't add wrinkles everywhere, but somewhere like the trunks, I think it adds a little bit of interest. To have like one part of the costume be quite wrinkly and maybe a little bit baggy. Shading the leg there a little more. You're seeing the sort of one side of Superman here is more shaded than the other. We've got a very defined light source, I suppose. Just basically finishing off details here, defining things a little bit more. I made the belt bigger than what it was in the original drawing, because I think that's one of the things that Mignola would exaggerate. Nice big belt with a nice big buckle. Again, hands, I'm not particularly good at. So I just kind of, have to get better at that. Make another video in the future. And we're basically finished. I'm just shading in the red parts. And I hope you got the kind of gist of how you can add Mignola-esque elements into your drawings. There's no way copy him, but how to add a few elements of it into your drawings. Thank you for watching. Watch my other videos. Bye-bye.